Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. Hare Krishna everyone, welcome back to another new video. So we have been discussing this section in Karma Yoga, chapter 3 of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So last video I left you with this central theme of Bhagavad Gita, wherein Krishna is repeatedly telling Arjuna there is no escaping from the performance of his duty. He needs to lift his bow and stick to his ground and fight the fight. But the 3 D's that we talked about, do your duty, your own duty, not somebody else's, that's why it's prescribed duty. Do your duty with detachment along with devotion, the 3 D's. So once upon a time, there was a very rich, wealthy merchant, and he was so filthy rich that, those times his storage house was filled with all kinds of grains, and there were so many cows, milking cows, so all the dairy and dairy products and gold and clothing. You name it, he had it, all kinds of the opulence. He had 4 sons and 4 daughters-in-law, all of them were married. So he started contemplating. He was about 65 years old, and he thought, well, anytime, the call may come from higher up and he may have to leave his body. So he started planning, okay, I have all this wealth, now how do I delegate the responsibilities among my sons and the daughters-in-law, and especially the daughters-in-law? How do I delegate the responsibilities to them? So one fine day afternoon, after he had a sumptuous lunch and he was just sitting in the veranda and interacting with some people, in front of 4 or 5 other elderly people, he called all his 4 daughters-in-law, and everybody dutifully they came there. And when they were sitting there, this man, the father-in-law, gave 5 grains of wheat to each of the daughters-in-law, 5 grains of wheat. And he told them, from now, starting today, you have 5 years of time. You decide what you want to do with these 5 grains of wheat. And after 5 years, I'll call you back and ask for them. Okay, so the daughters-in-law went taking these 5 grains of wheat. The 4th daughter-in-law, she thought, what is this? Like a silly game. He's given 5 grains of wheat. The whole storage house, treasure is filled with so many grains. What will I do with this simple 5 grains of wheat? 65 years, like in Kannada they say, Arvatakke Arulu Marulu. People start losing their memory with age and they start talking a little crazy. So she thought, maybe my father-in-law also has gone a little crazy. So what am I going to really do with this? And anyway, 5 years later, who knows, he may not even remember. And even if he does remember and call us and ask, the treasure house storage is there, I'll just bring some 5 grains and give it to him. So she simply took those 5 grains, threw it off and went about her regular day-to-day activities. So 4th daughter-in-law threw all the 5 grains. Now the 3rd daughter-in-law, she was also not having that much of faith in why father-in-law was giving these grains of wheat, what to do with all these things. She didn't want to get into all this. And she also thought, even if I keep it somewhere, I may not remember it when he asks. So better I just eat it. So she just took those 5 grains of wheat, put it in her mouth, chewed it, swallowed it. And she also thought, anyway, if he asks, let me see that time. I'll also bring some 5 grains and give it to him at the time. Now the 2nd daughter-in-law, she had a little bit of faith in what the father-in-law had suggested. So she took these 5 grains, and now her main concern was she wanted to preserve it, but she didn't know where to preserve it. She thought 5 years is a long time. If I keep it somewhere, I may forget it. So where shall I keep in a way that I will not forget? So she took one nice silk cloth, nicely put this 5 grains, tightly tied it, and she went into the puja room. And behind the altar, she hid it there. So that way she thought, puja room, it will always be intact, nobody will come here and do anything. 5 years later, if he asks, I'll get it and give it to him. Now the first daughter-in-law, the wise one, she contemplated. She thought, My father-in-law is not an ordinary man, not in just terms of wealth. She thought he's quite a wise man for his age. He's very mature and he usually doesn't speak anything that doesn't make sense. So if he has deliberately called us and given these 5 grains of wheat, there is some purpose behind it. And her whole objective was, what should I do with these 5 grains of wheat which will please my father-in-law the most? And she thought about it for a few days, and then she took these 5 grains of wheat, went to the backyard and sowed it. And within few months, nicely she nourished it, took care of it, and she got bountiful harvest just from the 5 grains of wheat. Then she took that and she did not stop at that. She took all that wheat and replanted them. And then again for few months she got even bigger harvest, again replanted. So she did this pretty much for the whole 5 year span. Get the harvest, plant it back. Get the harvest, plant it back. And by now she has quite a bit of harvest at the end of 5 years. And now this father-in-law, after 5 years, is he going to call them back? And if he calls them back and asks them what is going to happen, and why at all am I sharing this story, what is the implication of the lessons that we are going to learn from this story, for all that you have to wait until the next video, which will be the very next day. So I'll see you very soon in the next video. Until then, remember 5 grains of wheat. Let's see what's going to happen with them. So take care. Hare Krishna.